What is up, Wizards fans? It is officially the Wizards regular season. We made it. We got here. It was a long off season. At times, it seemed like it would never end, or we'd never have anything ever to talk about again. But we have plenty to talk about tonight because the Wizards just announced an amazing starting five. I will get into that in a minute here, but just want to introduce my co-host for tonight's pregame and postgame show. Got DJ from the Chocolate City Hoops podcast, which go find that on YouTube. It's awesome. It will also be hosted on our new channel, the Department of Hoops, moving forward. So thank you for everybody for checking that out. If you have not subscribed yet, please go do that. And if you're watching this, please hit the like button for us. We're trying to grow this thing. We want to blow up the Wizards community here and just and get this thing as hyped as possible. So DJ, thanks for joining me. And how are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm really hyped about what you started here, right? Just really happy to be a part of it, and really happy to get to the starting five that just came out. We should talk about it quick.
Hell yeah, man. All right, we'll get to that in 1 second. But first, as always, we're brought to you by Stateside Vodka and their Surfside Hard Iced Teas. Depending on how the game goes, if the starting five looks as good as I hope, I'm going to do like the Stone Cold Steve Austin with 2 cans of Surfside and just chug them as we go here. But we're also brought to you by BetOnline. It's your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. Everything you can think of for the latest stats, news, player props for all your favorite teams. Get the latest scores, lines, matchups, all that good stuff. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, that's starting five. We buried the lead here. Jordan Poole, not surprising. Kyle Kuzma, not surprising. Bilal Coulibaly, not surprising. The 2 rooks in the starting lineup here, Bub Carrington and Alex Sarr. DJ, I love it, man. I'm so hyped for this. This is everything I've ever wanted from a Wizards team that's only got to win 15 games. But this might be the most excited I've been for an opener since like 2008. So I'm all about this.
Dude, I didn't think, I thought there was a possibility of Sarr starting, right?
Mhm.
Maybe at the 4, right? I think we
Yep.
talked about that on my show a while back, but then I started to kind of get a little bit convinced that maybe he comes off the bench. Maybe it's Jonas, starting, which I'm really surprised that we're not seeing that here. I mean, to me, I think that's like the biggest shocker. But then the next biggest shocker is my favorite dog, Carrington, Bub. But that goes to show you that all the work he put in and what he showed in the summer league, starting off there, and then the preseason for him, maybe it's because Brogdon's not in, but point blank period, to see Carrington in the starting lineup, I love it. I'm ready to go watch the game now.
I know. Can we just fast forward to 7? Like, just screw the whole pregame at this point. That is the pregame.
Yeah.
Pregames might take on another meeting if we're going to get this weird with it all season. We're going to have to tailgate these bad boys. Man, I don't know. I'm really excited. Let's just roll through the chat here a little bit. Fabulous Result says nobody in the lineup can shoot above 34%, but hey, we out here. I mean, we'll see. If everybody on the team shoots 34, 35-ish%, that's 5 guys you got to somewhat account for. We'll see how it goes. The Rally Mullet, amazing screen name there, says 15 games. Wow, that's wild. I mean, I'm sort of being hyperbolic, but am I really? They will be a sub 20 win team, in my opinion. I very much hope I'm wrong, but not so wrong that they don't still get the first pick. But we'll see how that goes. AP says JV not starting is kind of crazy, but watching Boston hide the 3-point line and let it rain all game is not so surprising tonight. Yeah, I think this just matches up better with them. Sarr is perfectly well equipped to chase around Al Horford's ghost. So I think that'll be, totally fine. You don't need JV out there banging around for this particular matchup.
No. And, why isn't JV starting? Because what does that mean? Is that, some sort of implication to something that we don't know yet? My conspiracy theory mind's already rolling something what's going on there, but who knows? But for Sarr to be starting, I think he showed us something in the preseason, and I'm happy to see what he can do out there. And let's see, Al Horford, he's an old dog, so let's see what he teaches the kid, right? And to your point, not really, this season's going to be pretty exciting, right? For a whole different reason.
Mm-hmm.
We're going through a rebuild. We got some exciting young pieces. I think a lot of us want to see what Bilal will do. How he goes into his second year. Will he have something similar to Denny, if not better? Personally, I think maybe a bold take, but I think he'll have a better second season or a sophomore season. So who knows? But it's going to be pretty exciting to see what happens this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Valanciunas thing, just maybe he's still playing his way into shape a little bit here, and they're gonna let him ease into things. Or just simply Sar's looked that good in practice, and he's got young, fresh legs, and maybe that's just a better fit with the other
Yeah,
guys in the starting five. And for some of the young guys coming off the bench, I think Valanciunas can make their lives a lot easier and maybe really feast with a strong starting unit. Like if your starting five isn't as good as the rest of the leagues, if your next five up is better or just as competitive, there's an opportunity to kind of chip away at deficits or build a couple leads along the way as you go here too. So I don't know, maybe that's what they're looking at.
yeah. One of the other things that kind of stuck out to me now that I'm looking at this, right, is that, Carrington, Bud probably plays a little bit better off the ball, but he can also play your lead guard if he has to. Probably,
Sure.
obviously a little bit better than Poole. Now, I can't really remember who put out the report, but there was a report out there saying that, any one of the people, in the lineup could possibly bring the ball up the court, right? Kind of like,
Mhm.
initiate the offense. So when
Yep.
I see that's the first thing that it kind of reminded me of was that report where Poole, lead guard, wants the ball in his hand. Bub definitely can do it. Bilal's been working on his handles, can certainly do it. We know Kuzma's done it, right? And
Mhm.
then, from the highlights that we saw pre-draft of Sarr, we've seen him do it a couple times. You right, kind of
Sure.
like from court to court. So, you know, would you want Sarr initiating the offense? Probably not, but maybe that's a little bit of what they're thinking. Also, there's a lot of switchability on this too, right? Sarr, Kuz, Coulibaly, Bub, depending on what position they're guarding, there's a lot of switchability there.
Yeah, I think that's really the key, right? That's the thing he gives you above the other centers on this roster is he's got the mobility to stay with some of these younger guys, and you can't really hunt him the entire way the same way you would Valanciunas or Holmes or even kind of Bagley to some extent, maybe less so than the other two. So I think that'll be great. And Greg said in the chat, probably rather have Sarr pick up Horford than Tatum. Yeah, I think that's really what you're worried about there is just
Yeah.
yeah. But if Sarr ends up on Tatum, he's going to more likely be able to at least stay in front of him than the other centers on the roster would be.
Yeah,
And they play so
it wouldn't,
small.
right. Sorry, it wouldn't be as bad as JV, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, kind of slow footed, it wouldn't be as bad. So you can definitely see Sarr being able to at least keep up with Tatum for maybe the first couple of seconds of
Mhm.
the dribbling.
That's a good point. Yeah, and Fabulous Results also said probably better to let throw Sarr to the Wolves against like the defending champs here. I think that's a good experience point too. And Jacob made a similar point. Curious to see how Bub does against Holiday or White. No matter what the matchup is, he's gonna get like absolutely put through the ringer with a really good defensive guard on him from day one. Like I know he's played well in summer league. He's okay in the preseason, I think. But for Bub, like this is probably huge. He's gonna be nervous. I would expect, some struggles early. So I'm begging everybody to just be patient if the first quarter especially is rough for him. Like Sarr, it's probably easier to coast a little bit. Like Horford's not gonna come at you the same way. For Bub, like if you have to have the ball and you've got to bring it up against two ball hawks, like he could look really bad early here. And I'm sure he'll settle in and be fine. It's just rookie learning curves. But like this is the toughest test you could face in terms of like perimeter defense, like right out of the gate. So if he looks good right now, I'm gonna go absolutely ape shit just because I'll be so excited. But if he doesn't, like that's okay. Like this is the ultimate learning experience.
Yeah, and when it comes to the rooks, right? I mean, it's the toughest thing for them is consistency. So really, what I'm looking for, or at least what I'll be paying attention to, is like what are those, 1 to 2, maybe 3 series, those, maybe 4 to 5 good plays that you make, whether it's a good pass, whether it's a good shot, whether are you a connector, right? What are you setting the good screens if you're Sar, right? Kind of staying in front of your man. It's
Mhm.
really just going to be those sorts of things that are going to matter. That should, at least what I believe, matter to us, right? Because
Yep.
like you said, Sar's going to get put through the ringer. I'm sure, look, you talking about old dog and Al Horford, right? Notorious wizard killer amongst so many, right? I think almost every you can almost count that like 50% of the league has been a wizard killer at some point in time. But he's gonna test him. He's that's if you're not, it's gonna be a welcome to the NBA moment, and it's gonna happen whether it's this game or next. So like I said, just looking for a couple of good plays, a little bit consistency, just build upon that. Just the first game.
Al Horford is always one of those guys that every time I see him play well, I'm like happy for him, but it makes me a little sad because I just think about that summer where he like almost ended up. Yep,
Almost.
he's on the bigger what ifs for me, just if only because it would have saved us from the couple years of Jan Mahinmi. But imagine him as the veteran big on this team, kind of like easing Sarr into it. Like, just the vibes would be epic here. Just pivoting to the Boston Celtics here for a minute. They're starting five. I have not seen it formally announced yet. I'm going to refresh on their page here in a minute, but I would imagine it's Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Al Horford. We'll see if anything changes drastically from that. But there's another opportunity too. Like, hey, Jordan Poole struggled early in the year last year in a game, particularly against the Celtics. I just remember one possession where he tried to back down Drew Holiday and like fell down because Drew was strong as shit and didn't move. So like I'm expecting. I mean, there's no knock on Poole. Like Holiday does that to a lot of people, but
Right,
this is an
right.
opportunity for him to say like, this is a different Jordan Poole this year. This is the guy everybody expected last season. We're throwing last year away and we're coming out strong. And I want to see him play like good team basketball, get the rookies involved. I think the other nice thing about the starting five is like, I think Poole, you take some of the point guard responsibilities away from him and just kind of free him up to do his thing. If you can get out and run in transition, and this team's talked about pace, 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 pace. Well, two young, fit, athletic rookies who have fresh legs, you're more equipped to go out and run with them too. So I think that's another reason for the starting five is like, hey, you know what? Like, let's just get as many possessions as possible here, and let's just try to run them into the ground and see where they're at. Like, we'll bring the fight to them, and I'm all about that.
I wonder too because as you were saying that, I thought about the lineup too. Do you think that with Poole and Kuzma, right? I think you said it in a previous pod that have we ever seen their chemistry? Like, are we going to see maybe both of them kind of put together some good quarters, right, together?
Mhm.
And you know, Poole's not much of a defensive guy, but you do have Bub, right, who still yet to be seen, but plays tough, right? That's kind of what you want from your rook.
Mhm.
Um, and then, right, you already know what Bilal's going to bring. Bilal's really, your best perimeter defender and can
Yep.
really, guard a little bit on the inside as well. And then, right, you already know what you drafted Sarr to mostly be. So I wonder if the starting five also deals with, right, again, we talked about the switchability, the defensive aspect to, right, they want to run, they want to be fast, get some of those lane steals and just take off and, just be a fast break type of team. So, now that I'm thinking about it more, I better see some some fast break dunks and some exciting plays, this game because they have the ability to do that in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, that's what you want, and it's interesting, like, in college basketball, you talk about if the other team has more talent than you, it's really good to slow the game down and limit the amount of possessions where they can show they're better and more athletic than you. I think in the NBA, if you're a young, like, rebuilding team, the best way to be competitive is to just try to wear these veteran guys out. They don't wanna run with you, the entire time. So if you've got fresh legs, like, hey, man, just make them chase you the whole game. Like, at least make them work on the other end because you're just running on everything, and I think that's part of the Wizards' logic here too. So I'm with you. I wanna see some Jordan Poole, Alex Sarr, pick and roll, with him throwing the lob to Sarr. Like, you know, Al Horford is not gonna wanna chase that dude for the entire length of this game, and they don't have a ton of depth right now behind him with Porzingis is out, obviously. So they're gonna have to go small at some point, and this is an opportunity for Sarr to, like, feast on these smaller guys or these slower, older guys, and this is really, a cool opportunity for him to kinda, show some of the people out there that maybe weren't as big on that pick, just what he can actually do and what the vision can be long term here. So I'm all about this. Like, a lot of people were kinda like, I don't know, salty about the Wizards have to wait till Thursday and they've got to play Boston to open the season, but hey, man, like, this might be one of the bigger games on the Wizards' entire calendar year. So, let's show the NBA that you at least have to take us seriously enough. Like, we may end up, with the number one odds for the first pick, but it doesn't mean every game individually has to be like a total like washout. You can still be
Mhm.
competitive in each of those games too.
And that's it, right? You know there's gonna be a stretch, right? You're
Yep.
gonna lose 3, maybe 4 or 5, right? You just wanna see them build off of something, right? We don't know
Mhm.
what the year is gonna bring, but that's
Sure.
that's what gets it so exciting, right? Is that we already know what to expect as a Wizards fan base. There's really no expectations outside of us getting to the lottery. I mean, if we do
Mhm.
better than that, I mean, some people would be upset.
Sure.
Some people would be like, "Damn, this is better than what I thought." So, you mentioned before maybe like less than like 20 games, and I think maybe at best they're right there on the cusp of like 25, right? At best, if then that's probably really like hoping and wishing.
If they win over 20, beers are on me the next time I see you, like, or at the end of the season here. Like, I just don't think they'll want to do that. Like, I think this front office will get to that point where even if, like, they could organically get to that many wins, they're just gonna start to shut some guys down and things like that to not let that happen too. So,
Yeah, for sure.
the only rookie we haven't talked about, and I've got Gregory mentioned him here in the chat, is Keyshawn George, not in the starting five, but I thought he was probably the best Wizards rookie, in the preseason. Obviously, he's a little more blocked to minutes with Coulibaly there too, because you have to prioritize him as well. But it wouldn't shock me if he's one of the first couple guys off the bench here tonight too. It seems like they're fully embracing the youth movement, which is everything we wanted to see last year to start the year and really didn't. So, if he's one of the first 2 or 3 guys to come in, like I'm gonna be super happy about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, I thought that if there was going to be any surprise, I thought that maybe he would have snuck into the starting lineup and Koulibaly would have been at the 2, right? Because we kind of
Yeah.
saw that in some of the preseason games. But
Mhm.
I mean, because he just played so, he played fairly well. I dare
Yep.
say he almost was the best rookie out on the floor for the
I think
Wizards
so.
during this preseason. So,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, look, I'm super. I mean, I was excited when we drafted him. I thought maybe he would be a little bit more. Take some time to develop based off of. I mean, he's a rookie, still going to develop. I didn't think he would have kind of like an impact so soon, if that makes any sense. So, I, just excited to see what he can do out there. I'm not expecting much. If he comes off the bench and still gives us like anything above 7, 8 points,
It's
then
fine. Yeah.
that's a win. That's a win.
Play decent defense, move the ball, shoot confidently. Like that's really all I want to see from him. And the stats, anything above that is gravy. Again, for folks watching this, if you can click that like button for us on YouTube, want to blow this thing up, start the year off with a bang, and keep growing this thing. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers here on the channel, getting pretty close. So if you haven't done it yet, please do. Make sure all the great content coming our way shows up right in your feed there. And like I said, we're going to have a bunch of other podcasts joining the network here as we get going. I will have college basketball podcasts. Like I said, we're going to do pre and post game for as many of these games as we can this year. I've said all. I'm going to try for all, but I'm also traveling a ton this year too. So might be 1 or 2 nights where it's just, maybe you only get the pregame pod or something like that. We'll see how it goes. And there are enough other pods on the network here that if you don't get a post game or something, somebody of you will be along shortly after, to come on and recap for you what you saw on the court. Just a couple other things here, logistics to get out of the way for tonight's game. Obviously, it is at 7 p.m., so we're getting close to tip-off time here on Monumental Sports Network at home. So if you're in D.C. and you didn't realize it was a home game and you want to run down to Cap One Arena, maybe not too late to get a cheap ticket. The Celtics will be without Porzingis tonight, as we mentioned, and also Sam Hauser, who's dealing with a back injury. The Wizards are only missing Malcolm Brogdon and Sadiq Bey. So for the most part, should be pretty good. Competition for them. Looking at this Celtics roster, though, we touched on it. They are really small overall. Without Porzingis, you've got Horford as one of your bigs. Xavier Tillman is going to have to play like a decent amount of minutes for them tonight, or Luke Cornett, Neemias Queta. Like they've got some bigs, but none of them are guys you'd be particularly afraid of. So I'll be honest with you, like I need to see a big Alex Sarr game tonight just to show people like, okay, this is what the Rook is going to do. And he recognizes that these are matchups that he should be able to take advantage of.
Yeah, look, I mean, if like you said, none of them are going to want to run with Sar. Sar should just be running. There's no reason why Sar shouldn't be running up and down this court tonight. I mean, so if
Yep.
Horford's going to give you the business in the post or fake you out, like be a wizard
It
killer,
happens. Get him back.
it happens. Learn his lesson. Hey, make him run. Make it so that he has to leave the game before you do. It's just it's just that simple, right? All the other, if we're looking at the rest of the bigs, it's the same thing. None of them are nimble, agile, right? We should be able to just, if he wants to do his thing and run up and down the court, do a little Euro Giannis escalade, do what you got to. Just show us that you're on the right trajectory. And look, you're number 2 overall pick, right? Like, as far as the league is concerned, right? We just we saw, I don't know why I'm blanking, but we just saw the number 1 pick last night against
Zach
Brooklyn,
Ricochet. Yeah.
right? Zach Richardson. So, eyes are on him. So you already know people are going to be searching the highlights for you. So, sorry, if you ever see this, hey, look, man, we're rooting for you. We want you to have a big game. Want you to come out. We want to see those highlights on YouTube and, NBA.com, right? We want to see all that. So, yeah, I'm really hoping for a big game for him tonight so that he can show like, hey, I'm the number 2 pick for a reason. I'm here, and I'm going to be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year.
We know that Jordan Poole can bring it. We know that Kyle Kuzma can bring it. They both were inconsistent let's say last year. It's probably the most positive spin we can put on that. But this offseason, heard some really good stuff from them on a leadership perspective. You had Kuzma getting guys together in June. You had Poole getting guys together in August. I would also see that leadership kind of qualities on display here tonight as well, with them, creating some looks for the young guys and also encouraging them to be aggressive and to do their thing as well. And then picking up, the slack when they need to do that. Uh, I guess one matchup, DJ, that you're most excited about, is there one that stands out to you as like, yeah, this is the one I'm going to be keeping my eye on tonight?
Man, probably going to be Bilal on Tatum. To me, like, one of the bold predictions that we had on one of the episodes was that
Mm,
Bilal's gonna make an all defensive team. Now, again, very bold. It's gonna be kind of hard if you're not winning, but what are the metrics? What are the stats saying? And Bilal's gonna get everybody's toughest matchup. Obviously, if you're not a center,
it's true. Yeah.
big every single game. So, I really just want to see what he's gonna do, and he carries himself that way, right? He just has that attitude about himself, like. I mean, this offensive player isn't that special. I can guard him, right?
Mhm.
Pascal, Siakam, right? He said he only
It's
does certain
trash.
things,
Get
right?
out of here,
Same
you
as every,
bum. Yeah.
yeah. So that's the type of stuff like you kind of like see the culture, the dog mentality that's
Mhm.
happening, on the Wizards roster, and we haven't had that since
Wall,
what? When
maybe.
did it, Wall, yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's it. Like so, that's my matchup I'm going to be looking at tonight.
That's actually a great point. I've talked a little bit about how I would love to see Bilal kind of absorb some of the irrational confidence that both Poole and Kuzma have sometimes, but he seems to have that on the defensive end. Like, I want to see him picking somebody up full court and slapping the floor like the old annoying Duke style defense. Like, that's what we want from him, is like, I'm not worried about taking this matchup on whatsoever. My matchup, I think, yeah, I mean, that's a great one. There's a lot of like different angles you could take here. I think I'm most excited to see Jordan Poole against one of these defensive guys too, because if he can do what he did in that first preseason game, like, it just changes how like the whole vibe for the year. I think like this team becomes eminently more fun to watch if you've got him in like that sweet spot of creation for others and himself. So, two tough guards either way. I think you can really kind of set the tone for the year if you're productive and efficient with how you do that. And obviously, all the rookies will always be fun to watch. So any of them are great answers.
With
Um,
Poole,
yeah, go.
what kind of leader are we going to see this year? Right? Like this is what maybe some of the fan base wasn't so sure, but I know this is something I wanted. I wanted to see Poole be the lead guy, the lead ball handler, be on ball. So, what type of leader are we going to see? Because last year we heard rumors and maybe saw little things that might have seemed a little bit immature or whatever, we don't know, right? So,
Mhm.
but you saw that leadership over the summer, him and Sarr, right, taking some leadership accountability there and doing certain things. So, what are we going to see if the young boys start, falling behind or not being, stuck on assignments? What are we just going to see some sort of leadership come out? So that's another thing I'll be looking for this year to see how is he going to be a leader.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great one because I don't know. For me, like, I didn't love the Jordan Poole experience for most of last year. Obviously, it finished stronger than it started, but I'm giving everybody like a fresh slate coming into this year and just saying, like, last year was last year, this year is this year. Set the tone, be the player you want to be. And I think that's the thing. Like, there's the divide between Wizards fans and the Jordan Poole fans of like, if the Wizards fans say something critical, trust me, it's not because they don't want Jordan Poole to be good. I want him to be Gilbert Arenas 2.0. And I said that when they traded for him. And I think most of us feel the exact same way. So, that's what we're looking for here, is just turn it around. And this is kind of like the island of misfit toys here a little bit. Like, everybody's got that chip on their shoulder, I think, of like, okay, the whole world thinks we're the laughing stock of the league, like, the bottom door, cellar dweller of the entire NBA. Like, let's at least show them that they're gonna have to like feel us throughout this game, and they're not gonna come in here and just roll over us on our home court right out of the gate. Nomadic Brian said Bilal, Poole, just to see the improvement. Those are the two guys he's looking forward to. Rookies, you have to let them cook. those are two guys the Wizards need to see more from. I agree. Sa says, Matt, have you seen the starting lineup? Yes, we have just done a 25-minute podcast about the starting lineup. So Poole, Bub, Bilal, Kuzma, Sarr, my favorite starting lineup in a very long time. Let's see. As we just wrap this up, it's almost tip-off time here. Money line for tonight, the Celtics are minus 1,300, Wizards plus 700. The spread, Celtics minus 13.5, total 23 or 233.5. I'm going to take the over on the money line for sure there, or the total. Sorry, take the over on the total points. Just predictions for tonight, DJ. What do you got here? Anything you want to call your shot on any particular aspect of tonight's game?
Man, I mean, I'm gonna go positive. I'll say ultimately, Sarr gets a double in his debut. I'll say that. I think he gets at least 10 points, and he should grab more than 10 boards.
I tweeted while we were doing this that I thought, prediction, big game coming from Alex Sarr tonight. So we are locked in and on the same page there. Just for the sake of diversity here, I will give a slightly different one. I think Coulibaly, either whether he guards Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum the majority of the night, I think he holds one of them to like a less than stellar game. I'm not going to say he totally shuts one of them down or whatever, but I think whoever he guards primarily will not have a very good night overall by their standards.
And you know what? I'll put one more out there. I think this young team, regardless of who's out there, they're going to win one of these quarters, right? Yep. You're not going to win all four. I think ultimately we probably don't pull out this game, but I definitely think that the way that the Celtics kind of blitzed their first game and tried to go for the 3-point record, right? I think they're kind of still on the high. Mm-hmm. And I just don't think that they're going to expect this team to be much of a challenge, but I definitely think that, right, they're going to have the attitude of we're going to blitz you all one of these quarters, right? We're going to win one of these.
Yeah, I love it. You got to have a short memory when you're young like this on a bad team and just, play quarter by quarter, take each minute as you get it. So, yeah, I don't know. First pregame show of the season here, DJ. I think we did pretty good. I think we've provided positive vibes for the Wizards here. So we'll see how they do. And we can talk about how wrong we were potentially on the postgame show or how right. Either way. To everybody, thanks for joining us. Give us feedback. Let us know how you feel about these. Again, if you can hit that like button on YouTube, we really appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button. That's always great. And if you want to leave an iTunes review, those are always appreciated as well. If you have not checked out DJ's podcast, the Chocolate City Hoops podcast is terrific. And it's the coolest thing. It's the most unique of the Wizards podcast because he's doing it live in studio with people and then, or not, we're recording it live together in person and then being shared after the fact. Has the highest production value of any of the Wizards pods. So I would highly recommend everybody checking it out.
Look, you just gave me an idea. Maybe we should do a live in-person pod, we get cool. There just, hey, look, make it work. I'll make it work. I'll maybe you'll be the first guest for that.
I love it, man. Let's do it. I'm always available for that. I appreciate you. We'll be back here in a little bit, everybody. Check back on this feed for the posting of the link for the post-game show, and you can find it on X and Facebook and stuff as well if you want to do that. Go Wizards. We're presented by betonline.ag, and we will catch you in about, 2 hours and 45 minutes, something like that. All right. See y'all soon.